Hello, people. Well, don't know gaming here. Welcome back to F1 My Team Career Mode. Here we are at the Canadian Grand Prix. Canada has always been an okay track for me. I used to think I was really good at it, but when I started turning up the AI, it was just they started getting better at the final chicane, and that's where I made most of my time. But we're going to be doing a fabrication upgrade. Well, upgrade to the facility so we can make two parts at one time for the engine. We're also going to try and get a major rear downforce upgrade. And that should be ready in 2 races time. And we might be doing a spark plug upgrade, what should be ready relatively same like time. But that doesn't matter. So here we are for wet qualifying, and we've already done our first, well, we're about to finish our first lap, but I thought it wasn't that good, so we're going to try and do a second lap, and that's what I'm going to show to you. As we coming into this turn 1, rather late braking zone, and to make it turn in just so you can get the apex for turn 2. Really easy to go too wide round turn 1, but as we go down to the drive for turn 3, it's really hard to get the traction on, and easy to cut the grass there. But we get through it rather fine. Through here, you have to be very light on the throttle, like just a little bit off, like flat. And there we go, a bit too deep into that chicane, and that puts us a bit too close to the curve, and that makes us have a big kick of oversteer. We're able to correct it as we go into this third chicane now, I think. And we get that done pretty well, but we do get a little bit of oversteer, but not too much. As we go into this fast, like little left-hander here, and we break down into the hairpin, going a bit wider than I would like, but that should give us a better traction out of the corner as we just have the car straighten up quicker. And now we're on this rather decently large straight, not too much like Vietnam, but coming into the chicane, this can make or break your, well, qualifying that, as we don't cut the corner, and that puts us 6/10 faster than our first lap. And that puts us P4 for now, and that should get us through. Here we are for Q2 now. We're about to finish this first lap. I think I only did one lap because the wet tyres were going to get a bit worn, and I don't want to waste them. We go P10 for now, but as you can see, that goes down to P14 at the end of the session. So we don't make it through to Q3.
Hello and welcome to the Ile Notre Dame once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix at a fiercely competitive circuit, where pole position can often be decided by less than a tenth of a second. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles an hour here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around two-thirds of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions. And watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and the final chicane. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Sainz, Albon, Perez, Stroll, and Kimi Raikkonen. Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, the owner driver, and Ocon, Kvyat, Grosjean, Lando Norris. They've taken a grid penalty. And Kevin Magnussen. Russell, Gasly, Latifi, and Mahavir Raghunathan. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So here we are on the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. We went up one place because of penalties, but 5 red lights. And away we go. We get a bad initial start, but the secondary phase of the start is pretty good. As we're going to dive down the inside of quite a lot of cars, but we get pushed onto the grass there, what's going to give us rather bad traction, and we try and go the long way round through turn 2 there. And we go side by side with Raikkonen, what's trying to go up the inside now. But we do, they cut the corner a little bit, but not enough. But he is still alongside, and that gets us through. Well, gets him through, not us through. Now we have his teammate Giovinazzi behind us, and that's made us have a rather bad traction out of that corner. It means we are very, close to Giovinazzi, I guess. So we're going to have to try and do a little bit of work to try and catch up to Raikkonen, already making a second gap. But as we go into the not chicane, a hairpin, pardon me. But they seem to be braking a lot earlier than we are. So that does have us catch up quite a lot. But we need to be careful not to rear end someone. Now we're going to try and go around the outside of the fast chicane here. We cut the corner a bit too much, so we let him back pass, but we didn't want a penalty. But that's let Giovinazzi pass as well. So we're going to have to try maybe something into turn 1, but we're just too far back. So we're going to have to follow these cars around for a couple laps now, just so we can get a place to overtake. But we need to try and not make a mistake, but let's Ricciardo by. But that hopefully shouldn't be an issue. But the walls are very close here, so who knows if we can make a mistake at any time. As we go a bit too much on the grass there, what's going to let Ricciardo close up a little bit more than I would like, and the Ferrari engine of that Alfa Romeo just makes it accelerate like nobody's business. So now we're going to have to try and close the gap as much as we can, as they're just pulling it out after that chicane. And we lock up a little bit of the front right, but we are going to get a good drive out the corner, so we're going to try and put in an overtake, maybe Rich, no we don't, as we actually turn it down to medium now, because we're just nowhere close enough for a dive bomb anyway, so we're just going to hang behind for another lap or so. As we go into lap 3, DRS is enabled, so we're going to be able to use that next time we go down that really long straight. But there also is another DRS zone, what I don't really see as long enough for it, but it's going to help us close up a little bit if we can stay in the DRS, 1 second gap. As we come into this chicane, we get rather close, hitting the apex rather well here, and not getting onto the grass like normal, so we are a lot closer. We activate the DRS, but that Ferrari engine is just too fast and we can't catch up. As we get really close, so we have to go around this little bollard there, and that's let Ricciardo catch up, and he gets past us rather easily because of how slow we're going. But we're going to have a look down the inside as Ocon tries to go around the outside of us, but he didn't get anything going there. As we're coming down this long straight, we get DRS on Ricciardo, so we're going to try and get a little bit of a dive bomb maybe. But we're too far back, we just had to go back into the slipstream. DRS again, we're going to try and go through the inside of turn 1 now. We get a rather good dive bomb, goes a bit wide but leaves the door open a little bit as we go wide through turn 2 as well. But we get the better traction and we're able to drive away. Going on to lap 6 now, we're taking our time to catch up to Giovinazzi here. They're a lot faster than I thought they would, but we're going to have to try and close up as much as we can. We're in the DRS zone, well, we're in the 1 second of the DRS. So we're going to be able to use it next time we go through the DRS zone, what is after this of next complex of corners. But like I said, this is just too small of a straight to really get past. And if you watch my last question mark challenge, going up the inside of that corner is not a good idea. As we're going to try and dive bomb the hairpin. No, we don't, but we do get rather close, so we're going to try and do it through this chicane maybe. As we get reminded to use the ERS there, what's going to help us catch up using Rich, Overtake and ERS. We're going to try and go around the outside of the chicane as we actually go a bit too aggressive on him as he hit his front left tire there. We're going to see a off-board shot of the Alfa Romeo, and yeah, we just leave him no room and he just breaks his front wing. We probably could have left a bit more room, but I really think Giovinazzi should have left the space. Now we are probably going to try and do a similar thing with Raikkonen, but he does look a bit too far away this time. So we're going to have to try and push as hard as we can to catch up. We come through the chicane, trying to straight line it as much as possible so we can carry the most speed through it and then catch up to the cars ahead. As you can hear, we're apparently a second faster than Raikkonen, and that shows as we go through turn 2 and we get really close to his rear wing. So if you can't hear the engineer as loud as I can, but we are catching him rather close, well, rather fast, and we're getting rather close. As we get a bit on the grass there, what's going to give us a rather bad traction, but we still get DRS. Once we get past Raikkonen, we should get into the top 10, and that put us on the way to points. But who knows how the rest of the session will go, as I think there's at least 2 more pit stops left. As we get rather close to him, we're going to use some Rich, Overtake and DRS to hopefully get past him through this, but he also has DRS, so it mitigates us using DRS, so we don't get as much as a drive as I would like to. But we hopefully can get past into turn 1. As we get a notification saying like our pit window is open and we're going to be pitting this lap. So I didn't quite see what tyres we were going on, but I think it was the medium compound of tyres. So hopefully we can get past Raikkonen, like either before the pit stop or during the pit stop, as we get a faster pit stop time. I just said pit stop way too many times there. As we get DRS again down this little straight, we're going to try and close the gap, but it just doesn't seem to be going down anytime soon. As we go a bit wide through that chicane, so he's going to get away a little bit more than I would like. We should close the gap quite a bit as we go through the braking zone of the hairpin. Going a little bit wide, so that's going to compromise us, but we do gain more time than we lose. As we have DRS open, we're going to be diving into the pits. The pits is rather weird on this track because it goes straight on from this long straight, so you could accidentally rear end or trick someone into out braking themselves through the chicane. As there goes Raikkonen into his pit stop, hopefully we can be released in front of him. As we get a okay pit stop, 3.1 seconds. I feel like pit stops are a bit slower in this game than last year's game. And we do come out behind Raikkonen, but hopefully on this new rubber of medium compound tyres we can get past him. So we are gonna definitely make another pit stop. Don't know if it's going to go back onto a medium or maybe onto a soft. But it seems like Raikkonen has came out right behind the Williams of Latifi, what's going to slow him up quite a bit, what's actually really good for us. But he is going to get DRS on this part, so we might put a car in between us. As he goes round the outside as we get really close because of how slow they're travelling. And we also slip by Latifi as well because of the bad drive he gets. We're going to try and dive down the inside there, as we actually are behind our teammate Ragunathan now. So hopefully Ragunathan actually just lets us by, but he probably isn't. He's going to use DRS as well, but pushes us rather close to the wall there, as we actually try for another overtake on the same straight there. But I think they both come into the pits anyway, so it doesn't really matter. As we even come out alongside Albon or ahead of him. We come out a little bit behind Albon, but behind Stroll, so hopefully we can push past him as he's on a colder tyre. But our tyres are a bit worn now. They've only been on the car like one lap, but that does make a difference when you're doing a 50% race. As we do get DRS, what I wasn't actually expecting, but that doesn't close the gap enough, as we are now going down the long straight at the end of lap 12 now. We do close a little bit, but the Mercedes engine is rather powerful. It's not as powerful as the Ferrari, but it is more powerful than the Renault. But we do get a good drive through the chicane, so we're going to try and go down the inside of Stroll there, get it turned in just about in time so we don't go off the track. And that's another position done and dusted. Now to go into Perez. Jumping to lap 16 now for the hairpin. We get really close to Perez as we try and get past him into the chicane, I think, but that Mercedes engine is just so fast. We're going to have to try and close as much as we can. Maybe into turn 1 like we did for Stroll, but we do get not as good as a chicane as we did with Stroll, but the gap is closing and we're going to try and do an identical pass as we did on Stroll. Get it turned in a little bit better, but turn 2 was a lot wider this time. But we do keep him behind. Actually might make him go under pressure by his teammate. Lap 22 now, going after Albon, but I'm not expecting the gap to Albon to close that much. But he is a lot worse in the game than Verstappen, so who knows, we might be able to finish ahead of him. But I'm not sure if we're going to make a pit stop here, but yeah, we do dive into the pits on at the end of lap 22. Hopefully we can come out ahead of Albon, as he's probably pitting the lap after us. So we're going to try and get the undercut on Albon. Let's come into the pits. We get a slightly faster pit stop of 3 seconds. 1/10 of a second isn't much, but it could put us ahead of Albon if we get a good out lap to get ahead of him. But who knows, that Red Bull is mega fast in this game. Well, it's mega fast compared to our car, as we're coming through these 2 chicanes of new tyres. Feel so good when you go onto them, but they wear out rather fast as we push them a bit. We seem to be pushing them rather hard as we don't lock up, but we feel like we're getting rather close to a lock up there. So if we push the tyres too hard, they are going to wear out before the end, and that could come and bite us at the end of the lap. Well, not end of the lap, at the end of the race. As we coming up to the start finish straight, we're going to see if we get past many cars in the pits. If we can see Stroll is in the pits and Ocon, so we should be able to pass them, as we were already ahead of them before our pit stop. As we see how many people we pass, we could be side by side with Albon as we go into turn 2 here. Now we are side by side with him, but we get the inside so we can just drive just away from him, and hopefully we can make a little bit of a gap to keep P7. But I doubt we're going to be able to pick it. I doubt we're going to be able to keep P7 away from him, because we are going to have to push rather hard, and that's going to really make the tyres wear out. As we go into lap 28 here, the tyres were feeling a little bit worn as we go just understeering quite a lot through turn 1 and turn 2. Then a little kick of oversteer to like worsen the load. As we come through this rather fast chicane, Albon is getting rather close, only 3/10 behind now. As he actually has a little bit of a look through here, but that's nowhere near an overtaking opportunity. As he's going to get DRS, he might try a look down the inside here, but he's a bit too far behind with the Honda engine. The Honda, I'm not sure about the Red Bull's Honda engine, but the base Honda engine is a little bit worse than the Renault, so he should be able to keep it ahead in these like straights, but he is going to get DRS, so who knows if he's going to get past. We do get a better traction, but that seems to be like closing down rather fast as we go along here. Already down to half a second as we get to the end of the straight. And it seems that our chicane wasn't the best, as he's only 3/10 behind now. With DRS, he's going to try and do the overtake we've been doing on the racing points quite a few times now. As we actually bumps like tires the side pod. Luckily there's no damage to like his car, and we don't get a warning for that. But I doubt we're going to be able to push past him. He's just going to drive away now, as the tires are wearing quite a bit. Let's hope we can stay ahead of Perez, who is only 1.5 seconds behind, so that's going to be a bit of a push, but hopefully we can keep it. Going on to lap 30 now, we go a bit wide through the hairpin, and that left the door open to Perez. But he is going to have to drop back a little bit, as we can't run side by side through there. But he is going to get DRS, and the gap is just closing so fast now. With that Mercedes engine being a lot better than our Renault. As he gets a better drive through the chicane as well, he's going to try and do the overtake what Albon did on us, and what we've been doing on him. But we do keep the outside, but that could keep us a little bit open through turn 2. But luckily we get the traction to pull away from him. But this is going to be a long, like, 5 laps or so, as we try and keep him behind. But I feel like he could get past through this DRS zone, as we get a really bad traction out there. As you just see how he closes the gap so quickly, and now we're side by side trying to go down the inside here, and he just doesn't give us a lot of room, and we practically cut the corner. That just lets him drive away. I doubt we're going to be able to get past him, but we are going to get a rather nice like hairpin, and we're going to get DRS for this long straight. It was put into rich overtake, but the traction was a bit iffy as we get a bit of wheel spin and oversteer. But we do keep DRS, we're closing the gap quite a bit, but not enough to get past, so I think that's going to be the end of the battle for P8 there. But P9 isn't a bad position to be in after starting 13th. But who knows, we might be able to get past him. But we do have actually Raikkonen like coming a little bit close. Or is that a lapped car? I'm not sure. It shouldn't really be a lap car, but never mind. As we come into this chicane, Perez is just pulling away, just like a lot more than I would hope. So yeah, we are going to have to settle with P9 for now. And that's what we did. Now we're on lap 31. Lewis Hamilton has already finished the race. And we've been able to keep the gap. We've actually extended the gap to Raikkonen, but we just couldn't keep up with Perez. He's able to stay in DRS but not get past him. And that's the end of the race. P9. And we also get driver of the day. Pretty cool.
That's it then for another magnificent Canadian Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So then we are P9 at the end of the Canadian Grand Prix. After starting P13, we made up quite a few spots, but hey, it probably could have been better. We probably could have finished P7 if the tyres didn't fall away as much as they did. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, leave a like, and I'll be back with, I think, the French Grand Prix next time. Goodbye.